What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday evening. We've got an absolutely massive show for you guys this evening, so please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's jump straight on into it. So on the show tonight, we've got so much to get into, we really do. We're going to be talking a bit about Donny van der Beek, Eric Bailly, Fred, Hannibal, Henderson. There's a really big story coming out about Rasmus Højlund, which is really concerning, which I will start the show with in a minute. We're also going to be talking about Matej Kovar, Harry Maguire, McTominay, Todibo, Wan-Bissaka. Honestly, there is so much to get into on the show this evening, so do get involved in the comments section. Do make sure you smash a like on the video and do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's start off with the Rasmus Højlund one. Now, I've been trying to do a bit of digging into this because as soon as I saw this, I was really worried. Right, so let's start off the show with this. It's not the most positive thing, but apparently Rasmus Højlund has some sort of back injury. That's what's being reported, and this was identified when he did his medical at Carrington. He then went to London to do an MRI scan, which is like, you know, a full body scan where you go into a machine and they scan everywhere. Apparently it's similar to the injury that Marcus Rashford had on his back. If anybody remembers that a couple of seasons ago, Marcus Rashford, I think it was 2019-2020 season, he had a really bad back injury. Do you remember that? And ultimately he kept playing through it, and it was really bad. So let me just read out a couple of the bits. So it says an MRI scan conducted as part of the Rasmus Højlund medical last week revealed a stress response hotspot in his back, which can be the start of a stress fracture in young players. It goes on to say that it is unlikely that Rasmus Højlund will be able to play 2 matches a week for some time. And it says that Rasmus Højlund is nursing a back injury, which is likely to limit his playing time for Manchester United at the start of the season. So we've had a bit of clarity around what this injury is. I'm not sure what to think about this. I'm not. My immediate reaction is obviously that's really worrying. It's some sort of deep underlying back injury, something that he didn't seem to know that was there before and was determined from the medical, from an extensive MRI scan. All of these reports that have come out in the last half an hour or so, I mean, the worst one for me is saying that it's unlikely that Rasmus Højlund will be able to play 2 matches a week for some time. And then it goes on to say that it is likely to limit his playing time for Manchester United. I mean, we've literally just signed this guy. We've just signed him for £60 million plus however many add-ons. And now we're being told that he's not going to be able to play 2 games a week. And he's going to have to be really slowly brought back into the team because, you know, if this injury gets bad, then it could get really bad. That's kind of what's coming out. I honestly don't know what to say. I don't like. We've got such a bad injury record with players, don't we? We have people like Martial. We have people like Pogba. All of these people who came to the club and seem to have not done well with injuries. And now we've got somebody who I'm really excited about. I think is going to do really well. But before he's even kicked a ball, we're getting these stories coming out that the reason that he's not playing is because of some underlying back injury. I don't understand how somebody can pass a medical with this. And from what we're hearing, he didn't pass his medical. He went to have to go and do an MRI scan to find out what was wrong with his back. And now this is revealed that it's a stress fracture in his back. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about this. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to sit here and try and give medical advice. But let me just read out the bit from the whole statement really quickly. So it says, Marcus Rashford missed several months of the 2019-2020 season after sustaining a double stress fracture in his back. Rasmus Højlund has not reached that stage yet, with the club confident he can be nursed back to full fitness. United are adamant that following intensive investigations during Højlund's medical, there is no fundamental issue with his back and that all he requires is a period of rest. United's initial response to last week's MRI scan has been to give Højlund more time to improve his fitness and to reassure the player that he is a long-term signing and will not be rushed into the team. So even at the very minimum here, we can't rush him into the team. That's pretty much what's being saying. And that's not because of his footballing ability. It's not because Manchester United want to give him time to slowly adapt. It's because of an injury. So anybody who says that Rasmus Højlund is being slowly brought into the team, you know, because we don't want to put pressure on him, that's been completely debunked here. The reason he's not being brought into the team immediately is because of an injury. I mean, straight off the back, we need another striker. We do. We need another striker immediately. I'm not sure what to think. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm only reading out what's coming out from... These are legitimate journalists as well who are putting out these stories. You know, it's not just some random person on Twitter trying to troll people. Like, these are actual legitimate journalists who would have got this information from the club. Manchester United's stance is obviously that they think that he can be nursed back to full fitness. But I mean, an MRI scan is an MRI scan. If that identifies something that's wrong with somebody, you can't just make that up, can you? So just to be very clear, it's a stress response hotspot in his back, and it says that this can be the start of a stress fracture in young players. And it says that it's likely out of precaution that he will not be able to play for Manchester United for twice a week for a while. So I don't know what to think about that. I'm really, really not sure. If anybody in the chat is medically trained, if anybody knows what this injury is, please do let me know. The only thing I can relate to here is people, this story coming out that apparently it's what Marcus Rashford had. And I remember when Marcus Rashford had that, a really, really bad stress injury. I'm not sure what to think. Obviously, it is worrying. It is. Of course it is. I'm not, you know how positive I am on this channel, but when you have something like this come out, it does worry you. Of course it does. We've brought this guy in as our only striker. I know we have Martial, but he's also injured. We brought this guy in as our striker to revolutionise our team, to send us to, to new heights. And before he's even kicked a ball, we're being told that he's going to have to be really slowly brought into the team. He's got this injury that if it's not treated right, it could be really bad. Like, that's really, really worrying. It is. And if we're going to look at that in the immediate future, we need another striker now. We need another striker before the season starts, because we can't go into the season with a player who we've been told needs to be slowly brought into the team, because otherwise this injury could get bad. Like, we just can't simply do that. So I'm just really, really hoping that Manchester United now go out and sign another player, because I can't believe we're even having this conversation. I really can't. We've just spent £60 million on him, and now we're talking about having to, not being able to play twice a week, him having to be slowly brought back to fitness, and if it's not handled right, then it might be an issue. And all of these things, like, it's just screaming red flag at me. I was so excited about this player. He's a boyhood Manchester United fan. All the rest of it, all of the signs are positive, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this one. I don't want to overextend myself, because obviously I'm not a doctor. I'm only reading what's being put out by journalists in the UK in the last half an hour, so I can only give an opinion on what I'm seeing. I'm not going to sit here and say his career's over. I'm a medical specialist, because I'm simply not. I'm just a person sat behind a webcam. But from all of the stories we're hearing now, it's at the very minimum, his playtime is going to be limited. It literally says Rasmus Højlund's playtime will be limited for Manchester United, and he'll be unable to play 2 times a week. I mean, he's 20 years of age. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Let's just hope it's all okay, and let's hope that he does kind of come back to full fitness and everything works out all right. But anyway, let's move on to something more positive, because I literally saw this story about 5 minutes before the show started, and I was like, what is this? Like, trying to process it. So I've brought you guys the news. Make of it what you will. Obviously, Twitter's going into an absolute meltdown, as you imagine. People saying we've been ripped off. Where's the receipt? Like, you can already imagine what Twitter's doing. So you have to kind of just switch off from Twitter for a little bit. But yeah, let's move on to something more positive. Let's talk about Todibo. Jean-Clair Todibo is apparently Manchester United's #1 target in the centre-back position. And there's a story coming out this afternoon that apparently Manchester United have now made an inquiry for Jean-Clair Todibo. He is Manchester United's #1 priority should Harry Maguire leave. We will talk about Harry Maguire, of course, in a little bit. Off the back of that, Fabrizio's come out and said Jean-Clair Todibo is Manchester United's priority target if Maguire leaves. He says contacts have already taken place. So both of the clubs are already talking. We believe that Jean-Clair Todibo's representatives have spoken to Manchester United. So that will be talking about personal terms. It'll be talking about how he'll fit into the team, what Eric Ten Hag's plans are for him, and all of that other good stuff. So I'm happy about this one. I'm happy if Harry Maguire goes and we replace him with Todibo, because Todibo is clearly a very... Todibo is definitely a massive improvement. He is. So I'm definitely happy about this one. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Todibo. Do you think he'll be a good signing? Do you think we should go for him? We did do a poll on the community tab earlier on today. Let me just see what the results are of that. We asked you all who you would like to be the next Manchester United centre-back. And I think, let me just double check what the results are. Where are we? Let's have a quick look. So yeah, 58% of you, over 2,000 people voted, wanted Jean-Clair Todibo. That was over Antonio Silva, Jared Brathwaite, Ousmane Demande from Sporting Lisbon. So it seems that the fan base are really, really excited about Jean-Clair Todibo's signing. I am as well. I have done a little bit more watching of him, a little bit more scouting, watching some videos of him, and he does look like a good player. He's very tall, he's very physical. He's very fast, so I do think he will be a good addition. And if it's in replacement of Harry Maguire, you can't really go wrong with that, can you? You sell Maguire for 35 million. You bring this Todibo guy in for around 40 million. I think it's a really good bit of business. So ultimately the black and white bit of that story is that Manchester United want Jean-Clair Todibo, and contacts have already been made with his camp. That's what's being reported today, and it does look like a bid will be submitted as soon as we get clarity on the Harry Maguire situation. Let's talk about Harry Maguire then. Let's move over to Mr. Maguire. We've got over 500 people watching, which is absolutely amazing. Please do go and smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and get involved in the chat. Right, Harry Maguire, coming out in the last half an hour or so, Sky Sports are reporting that West Ham are now closing in on a compromise deal for Harry Maguire. Obviously, we did bring this news to you earlier on today that Melissa Reddy from Sky Sports was saying that a deal was close. Another journalist from Sky Sports has just come out saying that they believe that a compromise in the deal is close. Obviously, Manchester United rejected a £30 million bid yesterday. Manchester United reportedly won 40 million. I expect this deal to get done for 35 million, which I'll be really happy with. I will. I think 35 million is a great bit of business. So let's hope that this one happens. Now, you're all going to be sat there at home screaming at your screen saying, you know, even if we accept the bid, will Harry Maguire go? He's not going to want to leave. There is some positive stories coming out surrounding that story. So a couple of UK-based journalists have reported this afternoon. Harry Maguire is ready for a fresh challenge and is excited by the prospect of a move to play under David Moyes at West Ham. That was the first one. And then the second one from a different journalist today says Harry Maguire has indicated he is keen to join West Ham if West Ham can agree a fee with Manchester United. So all of the indications are that Harry Maguire would be willing to go. The only stumbling block is personal terms, which we have spoken about on the channel before. West Ham are only willing to offer him around £100,000 a week, and he's on 190 grand at Manchester United. So that will be the initial stumbling block that we will have to get over. But I do think this deal will happen. I would say I'm in about the 60-70% club that this deal will get over the line. Harry Maguire obviously needs first team football. Obviously, we've got the Euros coming up this summer. He won't be in the England squad if he doesn't get game time. So I do think this one will happen. Where is that bit of news? Yeah, so Melissa Reddy has reported that West Ham and Manchester United are not far away from agreeing a deal for Harry Maguire. There is now optimism that the deal will be done. So it does look like this one will happen. Very, very positive. Very, very good bit of business. And I think as well, even for West Ham fans, I know I've had a couple of West Ham fans in my DM today, like, we can't believe that we're buying him. He's absolutely rubbish. And I was saying to them, I was like, I know I'm not a West Ham fan, but I do think he'll do well for you. I do. So I wish Harry Maguire all the best, and hopefully this deal gets done very, very quickly. I'm not sure what this Bryburn guy's saying. I'm just gonna. Right, let's carry on. And then there's another bit coming out. This is literally in the last half an hour. So this person in the chat saying, why are you repeating yourself? This story's just come out in the last half an hour, my friend. It says Harry Maguire knows a lack of playing time under Erik ten Hag could threaten his England prospects, and he wants to be playing regularly ahead of the Euro 2024 in next summer. So yeah, that's positive. That is positive. And I think this one will happen. Right, let's move on to something else though. Let's talk about ingoings. There's a story coming out this afternoon, and loads of people were messaging me saying, what's going on with Amrabat? Somebody's told me that he's moving to Atletico Madrid. Has the deal fallen through? There was a story coming out earlier on this afternoon saying that apparently Atletico Madrid are going to sign Amrabat, and they're going to ultimately beat us to the transfer. I'll be honest with you. The source that put out this story it's like a really, really poor newspaper in Spain. So I don't think they have beaten us to it. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about it. I've seen loads of people in my comments saying, you know, you've got to do a video about this. Have Atletico Madrid beating us to Amrabat? What's going on? Until Fabrizio comes out saying that, I don't really believe it. Yeah, I think he wants to come to Manchester United still. That's what we've been hearing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And just because one newspaper in Spain that's not a very good newspaper has said that he's going to go to Atletico Madrid, I don't really think much of that. I think if this deal drags on for too long, you know, if we don't put a bid in the next couple of weeks, maybe he will go to another club. But he wants to come to Manchester United. He's rejected Saudi Arabia over Manchester United. He's rejected West Ham over Manchester United. Why is he now going to say, oh, I'm just going to go and join Atletico Madrid? I just simply don't think that will happen. But Yeah, somebody in the chat wanted me to talk about it, so I brought it into the show. A Spanish newspaper reporting that apparently Atletico Madrid are going to sign Amrabat. Yeah, I think we can put that one straight in the bin. But obviously, if you think otherwise, that's obviously completely up to you. Yeah, as David says in the chat, Amrabat only wants Manchester United. He said it again last night. 100%. I 100% agree with you. I really, really do. But yeah, let's move on to something else, because I don't really think that there is any concern for Amrabat. I don't. I think if maybe like a Manchester City came into the race, maybe then we'd be concerned. But yeah, Atletico Madrid, I don't think they'll beat us to him. Let's talk about some outgoings really, really quickly. Let's talk about Fred. So there has been a bit more news surrounding the Fred transfer in the last kind of 10 or so minutes. So this is coming out from Sky Sports. And Sky Sports are reporting that Fulham are set to go in for Fred. Obviously, they've been linked in for months. I don't know what happened there, but Sky Sports are reporting that Fulham are set to reopen talks with Manchester United for a deal for Fred. That's really, really good. That is, because obviously Galatasaray's fees were an absolute disgrace. So if Fulham do come back knocking, which Sky Sports are reporting they will, I do think we will get decent money for him. And I do think we'll get probably anywhere between 15 and 20 million. Sky Sports did say that apparently Fulham initially pulled out at the beginning of the transfer window because the fee that Manchester United were asking for was deemed unrealistic. I assume Manchester United's fees probably dropped quite heavily purely because of the amount of interest they've had. You know, they've had really, really low bids at this point. So I think maybe they were asking for 20, 25 at the beginning of the window, and now they're asking for somewhere around 15. And I think this deal will get done. So Fred to Fulham seems to be hotting up. We will, of course, keep you updated as and when we get confirmation on what the price will be and all the rest of it. We've got over 650 people watching now, which is absolutely mega. Big ups to everybody who is joining us this evening. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel. We're only 30 subscribers away from 9,600 subscribers, so do subscribe and get involved if you're new. We go live at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. every single day, so do get involved in the community. Keeping on the topic of potential outgoings, we've got an update on Hannibal Mejbri for you. Now, he is somebody I really, really like. He's somebody who I do think deserves to at least be on the bench next season and get some game time. The Manchester Evening News are reporting that Manchester United are not planning to let Hannibal leave the club permanently in the final weeks of the transfer window, despite continued interest in his signature. So obviously we told you a couple of days ago that Luton Town had apparently made a loan offer for Hannibal, but they were still waiting to find out whether Hannibal wanted to accept the move. It looks like, from what we're hearing today, that Manchester Evening News are reporting that it does look like he will stay at Manchester United. Them reporting that they have no plans to sell him this summer. I think that's really, really positive. Everyone was a little bit concerned when Zidane Iqbal left the club, weren't they? They said he's one of our best youth players. Why are we letting him go? And I did agree with you. I did. But I agree. I'll be really disappointed if Hannibal Mejbri goes, because I think he's quality. I think he definitely deserves at least a place on the bench. So I'm glad that this story's come out from Manchester Evening News reporting that it looks like Hannibal will be staying at the club and that Erik ten Hag ultimately values him in the squad. Yeah, so I'm happy about that. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Hannibal. Do you think we should let him go? Do you think... are you happy that he's staying? For me, it's a definite positive. I'm very, very happy that Hannibal will stay at the club. Right, let's keep moving on the outgoings. We've got a bit of an update on Donny van de Beek for you. This is coming out from a Spanish journalist reporting that Manchester United will only let Donny van de Beek leave to Real Sociedad on loan if the deal includes an option to buy. An obligation to buy, not an option. So at the moment, it looks like Real Sociedad are pushing for a loan with an option to buy. But Manchester United want it to be an obligation to buy, which I commend. I do. I think that's fine. I think if we get the loan with an obligation to buy, great, good bit of business. But an option to buy is just stupid, isn't it? You know, he might go there and not do very well, and then they say, we don't want him, have him back. It needs to be an obligation to buy, and it looks like that's what Manchester United are pushing for. With Real Sociedad, it will be an obligation to buy. We don't know at this stage what the obligation to buy will be, how much money it will be, but I would imagine it will be somewhere around 15 to 20 million pounds, something in that region. Obviously, as always, as soon as we get confirmation on what that deal will be, we will bring it to you. Paul says, do West Ham have a Ballon d'Or clause in the Maguire add-ons? I mean, you never know. I saw something earlier which made me laugh. Anthony Martial has a Ballon d'Or clause in his add-ons. I think it's £7.5 million we'd have to pay Monaco if Anthony Martial wins the Ballon d'Or. I mean, that's just mad, isn't it? It shows how high we rated him and what the expectations were for Anthony Martial when he joined the club, that we inserted a Ballon d'Or clause in Anthony Martial's deal. I think it's around £7.5 million. Absolutely mad, isn't it? And it is just a bit of a shame, isn't it, with Martial? Like, imagine if he had have been the potential player we'd have hoped for. Imagine if he had gone on to be the player we all imagined he would be. Yeah, a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. People talking about Pellistri in the chat. We will talk about Pellistri in a minute. But we have got a bit of an update on Dean Henderson for you. So Dean Henderson, story coming out today saying that Nottingham Forest are keen to put Dean Henderson through a rigorous medical, which United fear could aggravate his injury, and as a result, they won't sanction it. So obviously, Dean Henderson has this thigh injury, I believe it is. He's been out for about 3 or 4 months. And the story coming out today is that Nottingham Forest want to put him through this really, really difficult medical, right? But Manchester United won't allow it because they think it's going to make him injured again. I mean, some of these stories are just so strange, aren't they? They really, really are strange. I mean, obviously, again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know this, but I would expect a club to want to do a medical around a player. So if I'm Nottingham Forest and Manchester United say, oh no, you can't do that medical, it has to be an easy one, I'd say, well, I'm not bothering with him then. Yeah. Not really too sure what to go with that one. But the key thing here for me is that Dean Henderson are still in the race for him. You know, the fact that medicals are being discussed, the fact that we're at that point of the deal where they're talking about medicals, they're talking about different elements of it. Obviously, that is positive. Maybe we've got another injury-prone player here. Maybe that is the case. You know, Dean Henderson was out for quite a long time last season, and he has been injured a few times, hasn't he? So, yeah, we'll keep you updated on that one. Some of these people in the chat asking about if there's any update on a sale of Anthony Martial. Nothing about Anthony Martial leaving. I honestly think that unless Saudi Arabian clubs come in for him, I think it would be very, very unlikely for him to leave. There was a story floating around yesterday saying that apparently West Ham have made a loan offer for him, or are interested in making a loan offer for him. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think that would happen. Like, why would West Ham try and loan Anthony Martial? Why would you loan an injury-prone player? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. So I think we are stuck with Anthony Martial. His contract does expire this time next season, so he will leave as a free agent next year. Let's just hope that we can get some goals out of him this year. Let's hope that he can contribute. Let's hope that he has almost a redemption season before he then goes and leaves the club next summer. As always with all of our players, I always wish them all the best, and I hope that Anthony Martial changes his ways, stays fit this season, contributes, even if it's just off the bench. You know, if he comes in the second half of games and changes the game, that's good and that's worth having. So, right, but let's move on to something else. Let's talk about, what have we got? Let's talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka really quickly. So this is a positive one because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is somebody I really, really like. So there's a story coming out this afternoon saying that Manchester United intend to open formal talks with Aaron Wan-Bissaka over a new contract. United are preparing discussions with his representatives, which are scheduled to commence after the transfer window closes. So it looks like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is part of the plans going forward. And it does look like we will be offering him a new contract. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think we should offer Wan-Bissaka a new contract, or would you like to see him sold? For me, I really, really like Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he's improved so much under Erik ten Hag. He had a quality second half of the season last year, and I think he definitely deserves a new contract because he's only 25 years of age, so he's not very old. I think he can only get better under Erik ten Hag's supervision. So for me, I would definitely give Aaron Wan-Bissaka a new contract, and I'm really, really happy that that is the story that's coming out this afternoon, because I know some of you in the chat have been saying to me, Kieran, we really need a new right back. We need to get Jeremy Frimpong. We need to get somebody like that. But I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka's quality. I do. I would rather have Aaron Wan-Bissaka than Diogo Dalot, I think. I know they're two quite different players, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka defensively is, in my opinion, the best one-on-one right back in the Premier League. He is absolutely unbelievable defensively. I know he needs to improve his attacking game, but I think under Erik ten Hag, he will do that. And I do think in the second half of last season, he did look a little bit better going forward compared to previous seasons. So I'm really, really happy about this news. Really happy that it looks like Wan-Bissaka will be staying at the club and getting a new deal, because he definitely deserves it. I think he's on around £100,000 a week at the moment, which when you think Harry Maguire's on double that, I don't see any harm in giving Aaron Wan-Bissaka a little bit of a pay rise and signing him on for a long-term contract, because if he carries on playing the way that he has last season, his value's only going to go up and up and up. You know, this time last year, he would have probably been worth 10 million. He was at rock bottom. Whereas now, I think he'd probably get somewhere between 30, maybe 35 million for Wan-Bissaka. So for me, it's a definite positive. But do let me know in the comment section, are you happy about Aaron Wan-Bissaka staying? And do you think he should get this new deal? For me, it's a yes, but do let me know in the comment section what you think about this one. Right, let's talk about Eric Bailly, another player who is destined to leave the club. So we've got some news coming out from Sky Sports in the last kind of 10 or so minutes saying that Al Nassr have held talks with Eric Bailly's representatives over a potential move. But Sky Sports also report that there are apparently more than one club interested in Al Nassr. So there is a bidding war potentially for Eric Bailly. Al Nassr have expressed interest, and Sky Sports are reporting that more than one club are gunning for his signature. Let's hope we get some good money for him. I think somewhere around £5 million would be a fair deal for him. Yeah, I would take 5 million at this stage. But do let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. How much do you think would be a fair price for Eric Bailly? We've got 750 people in the chat, which is absolutely mega. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're only 50 subscribers away from 9,600, so do go and subscribe if you're new, and do smash a like on the video. And as well, I will read out some of your comments in the second half of the show, so do get your questions in, get your super chats in, and we will read some out in a little bit. Right, moving on to the goalkeeper position. We've got an update for Matej Kovar for you. I know a lot of you have said we need to keep Matej Kovar. I think he's good enough to be the backup goalkeeper. He looked good in pre-season and all the rest of it. But there's a story coming out this afternoon saying that apparently Bayern Leverkusen are set to make an offer for Manchester United's Matej Kovar. It looks like it will be a permanent deal. We don't know how much it would be for. Manchester United reportedly want around £7 million for Matej Kovar. I'm not really too sure what to think about that one. If he was going to get permanent game time, then I think he's worth staying. But if he's going to be the second or third choice goalkeeper, maybe it would be better for him to just move on. Tom Heaton is staying at the club. That was what was reported yesterday. Tom Heaton will remain at the club. He won't go out. So we do kind of already have a backup goalkeeper. I know Tom Heaton is not, a young goalkeeper who could go on to be the, a future starting goalkeeper, but he's very experienced. Obviously, he's played for Manchester United before his current spell, and I have no issue whatsoever with Tom Heaton being the backup goalkeeper. Yeah, so for me, I'd sell Matej Kovar. If we could get 7 million for him, I would take that. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what would you do with Matej Kovar? Would you be happy if he went, or would you prefer him to stay? For me, sell him, get the money in, reinvest it somewhere else, and give Tom Heaton a chance, because I think he deserves it. I do. Tom Heaton's been really, really good in the pre-season. He has. And I think he deserves a chance. I do. So, yeah, let's give Tom Heaton a go. He will be staying at the club, Tom Heaton. He won't be going on loan to, leaving the club to Luton. And it looks like Matej Kovar will be leaving. Right. Let's talk about Scott McTominay. We've got quite a lot of updates for you on Scott McTominay, actually. So, apparently, Manchester United want £45 million for Scott McTominay. 45 million. That's absolutely mental, isn't it? I think 40 would be fair, but 45, I think they're pushing it a little bit. I assume that this is just a transfer negotiation. I assume that they ultimately are just trying to squeeze a little bit more money out of West Ham, which I definitely do condone. I think that's the right thing to do. But 45 million, I would bite their hands off if we got that. If we got 35 for Maguire and 45 for McTominay, that's £80 million. Like, that's pretty much all of the money they got for Declan Rice. So West Ham are obviously leading the race for McTominay, and there is a story coming out today from Plättigol in Germany saying that West Ham want to increase their offers for Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay today. So we are expecting new bids for both Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire from West Ham today. This is being reported by Plättigol, who is obviously the German Sky Sports journalist. But there is a slight twist to it. There's a story coming up from Damasio, who is obviously a very, very good Italian journalist, saying that apparently if Matic leaves Roma, Scott McTominay is somebody that they will pursue. I'm not too sure about this. Like, do Roma have the kind of money to be paying 40 to 45 million pounds for Scott McTominay? I don't think so personally, but I don't really follow Italian football that much. But from what I can see, there isn't a hell of a lot of money in Italian football. So I wouldn't expect him to go to Roma. I think that's probably unlikely. I think he would most likely go to West Ham, because Manchester United want 40 to 45 million, and I simply cannot see Roma paying that amount of money for him. So I think we can put that story straight in the bin. Obviously, it was reported by Damasio, who is obviously a very credible Italian journalist, but maybe it's just a dream signing for them. You know, they're not going to offer 45 million. Maybe it happens, and I'm completely wrong. Maybe Roma do come in and make a massive bid for Scott McTominay, but the likelihood of that for me is very, very slim. I think he will go to West Ham. But the key bit of information that's come out today from Sky Sports is apparently that Manchester United aren't that interested in selling McTominay, right? They're only going to sell him if a big bid comes in. And by big bid, we're looking £45 million. They're not going to accept 30. They won't accept 35. They want 40, 45 million. And if anything less than that, they're just going to say no, because Scott McTominay is still part of the plans, you have to remember. We don't have that many midfield options at this moment in time. Obviously, if Donny leaves, Fred leaves, that's 2 midfielders gone. If Scott McTominay leaves, we have to sign a replacement. We do. And I don't think that replacement is Amrabat. I think Amrabat would be replacing Fred or Donny van de Beek. So, yeah, I think if he goes, we have to bring in somebody else. Maybe we go in for Romeo Lavia. Maybe we try and get somebody like Moises Caicedo. I don't know. But the information coming out from Sky Sports today is that if Scott McTominay leaves, we will have to sign a replacement. He is part of the squad. Ten Hag does value him. He does want him to stay. So it's not a get rid of the deadwood type thing. I know I don't like using the term deadwood, but he's not a player who's surplus to requirements. He would get game time next season, so he would need replacing. You know, whereas Harry Maguire, he's 5th choice centre back. Even if he wants to fight for his place, even if Eric Ten Hag says in press conferences that he's a part of the squad, we all know deep down that Luke Shaw is ahead of him. We all know deep down that probably Johnny Evans is ahead of him. So that's kind of the black and white with that situation. Oh, let's have a look. We were over. Oh gosh, I need a good stretch here. Oh, right. Let's have a look. We've got a couple of questions coming in. Let's have a look. What are people saying? People in the chat are asking about Amrabat to Atletico Madrid. Scroll back a little bit. In short, I don't think he's going to Atletico Madrid. But if you did miss the section on Amrabat, please just rewind the video to the beginning. And yeah, just rewind the video back to the beginning and you will get all of the information you desire. Get some questions in as well. I will read out some of your questions in the second half of the show. So if there's anything you want to input into the show, do get them in the comment section. And I will read them out. Okay, where are we? Just having a quick look at where we are with our... Okay, let's move on to something else. Now, this isn't actually player related. This is something more to do with Eric Ten Hag. And I think it's really, really interesting, and that's why I'm bringing it up. So, apparently Manchester United... So, this is coming out from Samuel Luckhurst, who writes for the Manchester Evening News. He says, Manchester United have built a new players' lounge at Old Trafford after Eric Ten Hag's request for a dedicated space for the squad. Ten Hag has asked for a room adjacent to the home dressing room where players can rendezvous, relax, dine, and prepare for matches. Everyone's thinking, Kieran, why the hell are you talking about this? Why I think it's significant is they've taken over the area which was where all the hospitality, where the really expensive seats are. So Manchester United have built this kind of special area for all the Manchester United players to go before the game, to have dinner together, to do all their team meetings and all the rest of it, which is really, really positive. And the significant thing here is apparently Jose Mourinho and Louis van Gaal both tried to do this when they were here, but were both denied the request. So Samuel Luckhurst says Jose Mourinho and Louis van Gaal were both denied the request of building this new players' lounge just during their tenures at Manchester United, but Eric Ten Hag's request was accepted. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it just shows how much of an impact Eric Ten Hag is making on this squad, both on the pitch and behind the scenes. You know, we're seeing these people starting to be moved out of the club, touch wood, and we're seeing stuff actually happening by way of, you know, them building him an actual players' lounge where the people can go, they can have their meetings, they can try and form a bit of a, you know, a team spirit. And I really, really do like that. And I think it is important. I know some people are only here for the transfer news. They're only here for the rumours and all the rest of it. But this is a tangible fact that Eric Ten Hag is making an impact at the club. Eric Ten Hag is working his magic, both on the pitch, both behind the scenes. And the fact that this has happened, I think, is really, really positive. And it shows that we're moving in the right direction. It shows that they really, really value him. Yeah, and I do like it. People in the chat saying, is Romeo Lavia realistic? I don't know. Lavia would cost us £50 million. I think if Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Dean Henderson, Eric Bailly, like if all of those players go, Donny, Fred, then of course he's realistic. We would have the money to go and do that deal. But at this moment in time, asking me right now, obviously it's not realistic because we don't have the money to go and buy, to go and spend 50 million on a centre midfielder. You know, we're more in the market of somebody like Amrabat, who's going to cost you 25. Manchester United don't have the budget to buy Lavia today. But if tomorrow we get a here we go for Maguire, a here we go for McTominay, and a here we go for all of those other players we've discussed, I think we could easily go and buy Lavia. I think we could get Lavia, Amrabat, and probably get a striker as well, because we can easily raise over £100 million from the players we've discussed on the stream today. So, yeah, as of today, obviously Lavia is not possible. But if we do these deals, which we're reportedly going to do, then I do think it is possible. I do. Right, let's have a look. So people in the chat keep asking me about Amrabat. Amrabat to Atletico. Honestly, there is no legitimate journalist reporting this story, not a single one. I think there was literally one Spanish newspaper who have reported the story about Amrabat going to Atletico Madrid. If anybody else has got information from somewhere else, let me know in the chat and I'll have a look about it. I'm just having a look on, literally, if you type in Amrabat to Manchester United, sorry, to Atletico Madrid, the only place that's reporting this is the Daily Express, which is probably the worst newspaper in England. Like, I don't even know if it's a newspaper still. It's literally the most trashy newspaper you could possibly imagine. So I'm not really worried about this. We know that Fabrizio has said that he's the #1 target for Manchester United and he wants to come here. Somebody says, which midfield positions do United need? A holding midfielder, defensive midfielder, box-to-box. I think we need Amrabat and I think we need another midfielder. I do. I think we need two. Obviously, if Fred goes, Donny goes, and Scott McTominay goes, we need to bring in at least 2 replacements. We need to bring in a replacement for Fred and we need to bring in a replacement for Scott McTominay. So I think we need 2 more midfielders. I don't really know who those midfielders will be. Obviously, it looks like it will be Amrabat. If it's not Amrabat, I think you go for Lavia. There was a little bit of a chat we had this morning where some people in the comment section were saying, why don't we just go all out for Caicedo, not get Amrabat, and then just promote Kobe Mainoo to the first team? Which I do quite like the sound of. I do. I think Caicedo would be an incredible signing, but that would literally clear out all of the money we get from Maguire, McTominay, Fred, etc. So I do think it's maybe a little bit unrealistic. But yeah, I would probably, in a dream world, I'd probably go for both Lavia and Amrabat. But if we just end up with Amrabat, I'm not going to be too bothered. Yeah. So somebody's put in the chat, Amrabat is likely to give up on Manchester United to sign for Atletico Madrid, with Liverpool and Barcelona mentioned as other interested parties. I mean, I haven't seen that on Sky Sports, so let me just have a look for you now quickly. People in the chat keep asking me about Amrabat. Everyone smash a like on the video and subscribe whilst I just try and look into this story for you. Yeah, I mean, I can see nothing on Sky Sports about Amrabat, so I don't know where you're getting this story from, whoever's spamming it in the chat. It's not on the Sky Sports website. I'm looking on there right now. There is nothing about Amrabat to Atletico Madrid. So I think at the moment, everyone just take a deep breath. I don't think he's going to go there. I think we will get him. So everyone just chill out. Everyone take a deep breath. Try and be positive. Until we get it from Fabrizio, until we get it from DiMarzio or Laurie Whitwell, let's just assume that Manchester United will get Amrabat if we put in a bid in the next week or so. If we're sat here in 3 weeks' time and he's not come, then I'd say, yeah, we're not going to sign him. I know everybody really, really wants Amrabat. I get that, and everyone's getting quite upset about it. Because do you know what's really, really funny, right? I asked this question to our community earlier in the community section, and I said, in a dream world, who would you like to sign at Manchester United? And I gave the options of Lavia, Caicedo, Amrabat, or Thuram from Nice, right? 74% of you who voted in this poll, there was over 2,000 people who voted. 74% of you wanted Amrabat. 20% wanted Caicedo, 5% wanted Lavia, and 1% wanted Thuram from Nice. That's absolutely mental, isn't it? That 74% of this community wanted Amrabat. I agree. I love Amrabat. I think he's a quality player. But yeah, it is really, really positive when the deals that we're making are the deals that the fan base actually want. Like, flashback to last season, and we were looking at people like Arnautovic. You know, we got Weghorst. We got, who else did we get? I can't remember, but some of the signings we made last season were very, very questionable, to say the least. Or some of the supposed signings we were going to make. You know, the fact that we were going to sign Arnautovic, like, what was that about? Deezy says, get my boy Todibo in. Lots of people being very positive about Todibo. Paul says, Kobe Mainoo is he says, Manu Kono is a beast and will cost less than Lavia. Did Manu Kone not move to someone else, though? I feel like he's already moved. I might be wrong. Yeah, I do like Manu Kone. Really, really good footballer. Let me have a look. I swear he moved. No, he hasn't. Yeah, so he's still at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Yeah, Manu Kone would be a good option. Really good suggestion. Simon says Caicedo is a top dog, or is the top dog. Okay. As Hendrik says in the chat, he says, we need one midfielder and Mohamed Kudus. I mean, I really, really like that idea. I like the idea of getting Sofian Amrabat, Mohamed Kudus, and a centre-back. Sofian Amrabat, Todibo, and Amrabat. Honestly, that would be incredible. 3 more signings. I'd be really, really happy about that. I would. Obviously, the news that we spoke about earlier on about Hojlund's injury, I think we definitely need to get another striker now, 100%. So I would go and get someone like Mohamed Kudus. He'd be my number 1 option. Obviously, who else is there even available at this point? Victor Osimhen's not going to happen. Harry Kane, let's not even bother talking about. Yeah, there isn't really that many other options available in the striker market now, and we definitely do need another one. Okay, some breaking news coming out in the last minute. This is coming in from Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian. So this is breaking news, guys. This has literally come out in the last minute. The Guardian are reporting that West Ham will not raise their £30 million bid for Maguire, but still hope to sign the Manchester United defender. Moyes is just driving the pursuit of Harry Maguire. So apparently at this point, West Ham will not increase their bid. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Maybe that's just a negotiation tactic. Maybe they're trying to play Manchester United. Who knows? Yeah, but that literally came out in the last minute that apparently they're not going to raise their bid. Every club says that though, don't they? Manchester United said they weren't going to raise their bid for Mason Mount, and then we did. We said we weren't going to raise our bid for Hojlund, and we did, you know. So I think that probably is just a negotiation tactic. Simon says, I think Scott McTominay will stay. I wouldn't be surprised. Loads of people in the chat are asking about Kolo Muani. I really, really like Kolo Muani. I think he'd be a quality signing. Obviously, he would cost a lot of money. I think he's in talks to go to PSG, though. Apparently, PSG... Sorry, so in relation to Kolo Muani, Pletty is reporting that apparently Eintracht Frankfurt want 100 million euros for Kolo Muani. Absolutely ridiculous. 100 million euros. Football's gone crazy, hasn't it? It really, really has. Like, 100 million euros, that's, what's that in pounds? 86 million pounds. Mental. Really, really mental. I don't think so. I don't think he's worth that. I mean, people will say, well, you bought Hojlund for 60 million pounds. Like, the football's just gone crazy, hasn't it? It really, really has. I guess there is always the chance that Mason Greenwood comes back as well. You do have to remember that is a possibility. Bob the Builder says, Greenwood needs to return, guaranteed goals. Personal feelings to one side, I'd welcome him back. I'm not sure. I don't think Mason Greenwood's the answer. I don't. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I don't personally think that Mason Greenwood will come in and make the difference. I really, really don't. But obviously, if you want to think that, then that's completely up to you. I'm not going to, badmouth your opinion. But for me, he's not going to make the difference. He's not. Maybe, prime Mason Greenwood, yeah, great. But he hasn't played football for 18 months. Are you really expecting him to come back in and be banging in the goals like he was before? I don't think he will. I think it would take him 6 months to even be ready to play a match. So yeah, he's not the solution in the immediate future. Maybe long term you could have that argument, but in the short term, Mason Greenwood isn't the option for me. He really, really isn't. And I know that a lot of you in the chat are going to not like that opinion because I know loads of you want him back, but I don't think he's the answer. What's Chris saying? Chris says 3 or 4 of us asked about him. Who are you talking about, Chris? Let me know. I don't know who you're talking about. Barry says Moyes is going to get sacked soon. We need to get this deal done now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. There are reports that apparently David Moyes' job's on the line. He's just won them their first trophy in, 50 years? And they're apparently going to sack him. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. It is, isn't it? People in the chat are asking about Taremi. So there is a story that apparently Tottenham are going to put in a bid for Taremi. I don't know whether that's purely because Harry Kane might leave. I'm not sure. But yeah, apparently Tottenham are looking at Taremi and Inter Milan. So there is competition for Taremi. I would go for him. I would. Obviously, he's not he's not going to be here for the next 10 years. He's like 30, 31. He's pretty old. Yeah. As a stopgap, why not? Give it a go. But I don't know. He's not one I'm going to get massively excited about. I think he'd come in, I think he'd score goals, and I think he'd do the job for a season or two. But overall, I don't think Taremi is the answer for the next kind of 10 years, is he? Because he's probably got a couple of years left at the top of the football. Somebody says, what about Mitrovic? I don't know. I do quite like Mitrovic, but I'm not sure. Saudi Arabia offered, I can't remember who it was, but a club in Saudi offered around £45 million for Mitrovic, and it got rejected. So are you really telling me you'd be happy to pay 50 million plus for Mitrovic? I don't think so. I really, really don't. If it was like 20, 30 million, maybe, but the fact they rejected a 45 million bid, that clearly shows you're going to have to offer, you know, somewhere around 50 million for Mitrovic. What have we got? Let's read out a couple more questions. Do get your questions in. I will read out a couple before the end of the show. Somebody says, should we get an experienced striker or a young striker now? I don't know. I mean, if you want to look at it from a winning perspective, if you want to challenge for the league next season, obviously you need to go for a world-class striker. You need to go for a Kane and Osimhen, someone like that. If you're looking at the future, I guess you look at a younger profile. Maybe you go for someone like Evan Ferguson. But I mean, how much is he going to cost? If Brighton want 100 million for Moises Caicedo, they'd probably want 50 million plus for Evan Ferguson, wouldn't they? So it's just a very, very difficult time at the moment with transfers. It's really, really difficult to get players for small amounts of money. We all know that. We just paid £60 million for, sorry, not 60 million plus 12 in add-ons for Rasmus Højlund, purely based on potential. He's not worth that. There's nobody in this chat who can say that he's worth £60 million today. He isn't. He simply isn't. So it's very, very difficult, especially in the strikers market, to bring in somebody. And it doesn't really seem like we have any kind of youth options who are ready to break through into the squad either. So maybe it just means that Marcus Rashford has to play as the striker this season. And then next season we go all out for somebody else. Maybe next season we get Harry Kane on a free transfer. Yeah. 11 says, I'm fuming about this transfer window. This is not Manchester United level. What does everybody think about that? So we got somebody in the chat who's apparently fuming about the transfer window and doesn't think it is the Manchester United level. Let me know in the comment section. How are you feeling about the transfer window? Are you happy with how it's been so far? I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm fuming. I think the ingoings have been pretty good. Probably like a 6 out of 10. Outgoings have obviously been awful. I wouldn't say I'm fuming at this point. Like, I'm feeling quite positive about the transfer window. If we get a couple more people out the door, if Maguire goes, McTominay goes, Fred goes, I'd be quite happy. So yeah, I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm fuming, but obviously you're entitled to your opinion. Do let me know in the comment section how you're feeling about the transfer window so far. So somebody in the chat's asking about Marcus Leonardo, who we have spoken about many, many times on the show before. There isn't any updates on him, unfortunately. We were linked to him a couple of days ago, this 20-year-old Brazilian striker from Santos, but there hasn't been any more kind of movement on that deal. So if you want my honest opinion, I would say that we were probably just linked to him to try and drive up the price, because there was 1 or 2 journalists who put out this story saying that we were going to go for him, and now it's gone completely quiet. So my guess is that we were just being thrown into the mix to try and get a bit more money, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I would like him. I watched some videos on him. He looks really, really good. He looks like somebody who could go on to be a really, really solid player and would be available for quite cheap. And I do really like the idea of bringing in people from Brazil, from the Brazilian league, before they go to a big club and we spend loads of money on them, you know? Before Anthony went to Ajax, you know, buying people at that stage in their career. But at this point, there isn't any updates on him. So, yeah, I would say that we were literally just being linked to him to try and drive up the price. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Stanley says Rashford is useless as a striker against low block teams. Yeah, I do agree with you. He doesn't really press very much. Yeah, he doesn't really press too much. So there's a little bit more on this Maguire and McTominay story. So again, the same journalist from The Guardian is reporting that ultimately West Ham won't up their bid. And he also says that the asking price of 45 million for Scott McTominay could be too much for West Ham. So I don't know. I think this is all just mind games from West Ham. I do. How often do you see teams say, we're not going to up our bid, and then a week later they up their bid? It is all just a case of who blinks first. Yeah, so I'm not going to take too much notice of that. So it's saying that apparently this is coming out in the last 17 seconds. So this is literally live breaking news. It says Manchester United value Scott McTominay at 45 million, and West Ham could now switch their focus to other midfield targets as they are not optimistic in securing McTominay. This is the classic thing you get every single transfer, isn't it? A bid gets rejected, and then you get a story coming out saying, oh, West Ham think it's too much. They're going to look at other targets. And then 2 days later, West Ham come back in with a new bid. It's the classic negotiation tactic. Or Manchester United come back and say, okay, 45's maybe too much. We'll accept 40. You know? Like, it's what happens in negotiations, isn't it? So I'm not really too worried about that one. Somebody says, what about Lautaro Martinez? He could be a good option for a striker. What do you think? I do quite like Martinez, but how much is he going to cost? He did have a release clause, I believe, but I think it's expired now. I think his release clause ended on the 1st of August. Yeah, so we had a... Yeah, I don't know about Lisandro Martinez. I don't know. How much would he cost? He would cost a lot of money. He would. Irvin says, striker signed, yet the season is about to start. Midfield is unbalanced at best. Deadwood is still here. Wake up, guys. 5.5 out of 10. Glazers out. I do hear you, mate. I do. Yeah, I do. Malks is asking about the Hojlund injury. Yeah, we did speak about that at the beginning of the show. So anybody who's wondering about the Hojlund injury, just go back to the very beginning of the show and you will hear all of that information. People talking about takeover news. There's absolutely nothing about takeover news. Obviously, we had the shirt launch this morning, and people were all getting excited because the colour of the badge and the Adidas logo on the Manchester United shirt that got released today is the same colour as the Qatar logo. And people were telling me, apparently Newcastle United, before they were bought, in the summer that they were bought, before it was announced, their third kit was the same colour as something to do with Saudi Arabia. So there's loads of people getting excited about that. I think at this point, we're all just clutching onto straws. We're clutching onto hope that, oh, because the colour of the kit is a certain colour, then the Glazers must be going and Qatar must be coming. Like, maybe that's true. Maybe that happens. Maybe Roy Keane only did the marketing bits because he's heard that Qatar are coming, because the Glazers are leaving. Obviously, Roy Keane hasn't done any marketing for Manchester United since he left the club many, many years ago. So it was a little bit strange. But at the moment around the takeover, it's purely just, you know, speculation. There's nothing to actually talk about. So I'm not going to entertain you with conspiracy theories that I'm seeing on Twitter, because I think 99% of them are just people literally just desperate for positivity. Right, we've got a couple minutes left of the show. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. We are, let me just have a quick look. We're less than 30 subscribers away from 9,600, so do go and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will read out a couple more of your questions before we end the video. And let me know as well if you want me to do a quick summarise of everything we've spoken about. I'll be happy to do that. Right, let's have a look. Pig Teat says, I love the new backdrop. I miss our time in the void a little, but you look more at ease. Yeah, so if anybody is new here, when we first started doing the streams, it was literally just a black background, and this person in the chat used to always say, oh, it looks like you're in the void, like, because it looked like I was in space or something. Simon says, Murta sadness strikes again. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a really, really good point to end the stream. It's been an incredible show this evening. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us. We will be back live at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow for your usual show. Please do smash a like on your way out. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll catch you guys at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow. Obviously, if anything breaks between then and now, we will go live. So do make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching this evening. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran, and I'll catch you guys later. Lots of love and peace out.